finally getting to the point where we can start to prep and paint the chassis. Thankfully, Ben has had it here for me for a few weeks, but we're now in spring, as you can see, and we've got a week of sun, so now is the time to do it. I've got a couple of days. Going to see if I should break it over 2 days or one, try and get it all done today in the sun. But as I said in part one, this is going to be pretty tough for me. Obviously, this is just going to be a sign of what I'm doing. I always do say to people that, if you're watching this and you want to do it yourself, do remember this is the first time I've done it. I've asked a lot of people, Ben, Jack, Josh, just lots of people out there have done it. I've had advice from others about this process and got a lot of different bits of advice and put it towards what I wanted to do originally, and taken all their advice and amalgamated it into what I'm going to do today. So do keep that in mind, that this is the first time I'm doing it, but you're happy to watch and maybe take some tips if you need to. But we might as well just get into it, I think. So let's get going. Generally, I've got a small amount of the stuff I'm going to be using today here. We've got the 2-part epoxy top coat, paint mixing pots, and some specific wooden ladles there to mix it with, brake cleaner to give the chassis a full clean. I've actually got some pre-panel paint wipes as well to give it all a clean just before. I've got cavity wax for the very end part of the process. This is Dinitrol, and that will go in with a long lance, coat the entire of the chassis. Even though there's galv in there, it's just an extra layer. You've got T-wash here that reacts with the galv, and that means you can paint straight over it because paint will peel off galv in its natural state. And I actually just bought a cheap spray gun off of Amazon as well to spray it all over. I was going to brush paint it, but I think spraying's going to be a bit easier. And obviously Scotch pads don't come at the end, and they are just to give it all a bit of a key and a clean up with the brake cleaner.
At this stage, you don't really need to go too hard with sandpaper and the Scotch-Brite, but it's worth doing it as I'm cleaning it anyway. It's been out in the rain and got a little bit dirty, so mainly this is cleaning it and giving it a little bit of a key here and there. If you weren't to T-wash it, this would be quite crucial, but we will be doing that stage. The only part of the chassis that really is exposed is the rear cross member. It was pretty good, but I thought I'd just go over with some really fine sandpaper on the angle grinder and just take off those high spots to give it a really nice smooth finish, ready for the T-wash and paint.
Now it's time for T-wash. What does it say about this? It does say harmful, so I'm going to be careful with this and wear a face mask as well. Go around the whole thing, spray over a light coating, and let it start to sort of react with the metal, and then, as I said before, that gives it a key. Start to go really dark. I'll probably leave that on for an hour or so in the sun, and then wash that off, and then let that dry and move on to paint. So as you can see, everything seems to be going as expected. Just keep working my way around, and if I see any lighter spots, go over it again. If it dries out, it seems to be not corroding, sort of working as well as it should. But it's all going dark now, and it's just corroding that first layer a little bit, and then you wash it off, and it should be good. But from what I've seen, everything's going pretty well. Fingers crossed, carry on. Got another bottle if I need it. It's the underneath that's a bit difficult. Need to be careful with my eyes, so I'm going to go sort of work my way underneath now, up into the crevasses and everything like that, and see how we go. But generally, fingers crossed, everything's working quite well. So there we go then, there's the end of the T-washing process. It's actually called mordant solution. I didn't get to mention that earlier, that's the name of it. Basically what I've done is just go around for the last sort of 45 minutes, spraying it all over as much as I can. Underneath's been a bit of a tricky one, so I've gone over a bit to get underneath. And now it's just reacting with that top layer, and it just goes black like this. And this is effectively etch, like you'd get an etch primer. And now I'm just letting it sit, and it's gonna give it a nice sort of texture for the layer of final coat there. Next thing I'm going to do is go over with a hose and just wash it off all the bits I can.
I opted to use the pressure washer as I thought it would rinse it nice and thoroughly, but it wouldn't fill the chassis up as if you were using a proper hose. But that was my theory anyway, and it did seem to work. Using the airline to blow the excess water off really did prove to me that I need to get a compressor and an airline myself.
So we're at that stage, it's the moment of truth. I've got the chassis just sitting there waiting, just drying off a bit more. I've been over at the air dryer, so the airline, sprayed all the excess water off, and a blowtorch in the little crevices to try and warm it up even more. But obviously because it's darker now and it's not shiny, the sun's directly on it and it actually feels warm. So gonna go and get some lunch, gonna go and hopefully let that sit for like 40 minutes or so. And that will just mean all the water that's excess from washing all the tea wash off should be gone. But it's looking really good. The etch has worked perfectly and I'm excited to get going. But it's the first time I've ever painted with a gun and I'll see what it's like. So the gun's hopefully ready, bar getting some thinners through it. Ooh, lovely. Whoa! Nice.
And that's how much paint you deliver.
Right.
So obviously you can control
You can control it then. I was sort of playing with it with the thinners in there.
Yeah.
And then
Should probably be about right. Painting it.
yeah. 3 parts of component A, that, 3 parts of that, to 1 part of this. So it's really handy what they've done on there basically, is you've got a marker all the way up, there's 3 of them, it says 3 to 1, so you just add that little bit on top, 3 to 1, which is really nice. And then here is your thinners, and it shows you what you can do, your 10 or 20 or 30% basically. So I'm just going to add the thinners onto the top, and I'm going to do, it says between 10 and 20, it's a warm day, so I'm just going to do 15. Let's go in there.
Okay, buddy, nice one.
That is properly thick. It's feeling quite good actually, thickness wise. Just keep going with it. That's thinned at, well, roughly 15%.
Yeah.
It
I
says
mean,
between.
you can afford to go a little bit more.
So I go. We might as well just do a little bit because it's quite.
Because all that you're going to do is going to make a slightly thinner coat.
Yeah. That seems alright.
Yeah, that's about right.
No time like the present.
Yeah.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hey. Thank you.
For the first time spraying with a gun, thankfully it went very well. I think it was down to the hot day and following the instructions for quantities on the box, but generally it looks really good. And I thought I'd just go around and do the fuel tank while I was there to add an extra layer of protection.
Well, there you go then. It's definitely a day's worth of work. The sun's still shining, which has been absolutely amazing. In that sense, it's really lucky that I did it today, as I don't have much time in the lead up to the actual build, which is in a few weeks. Now it can sit in the sun and dry out. I'm going to leave it overnight, so through the evening, overnight, and then into the morning and let it keep drying tomorrow. I'm really happy with the finish. Could have done a tiny bit more paint, but to be honest, I used the final bit for the cross member there and the fuel tank. As I just walked around then, I just had a look, and there are a couple of bits here and there which are, you know, a little bit patchy, but what I'm going to do probably is just got a couple of aerosol cans, which are just Rust-Oleum ones, and just, you know, just fill it in where I can. And again, the Galv is there to protect the chassis, so this is good and it's looking fantastic. It's been a really fun day doing it, and yeah, I'm happy with the outcome. It's looking really nice. So here we are for day 2. It's definitely drying now, which is good. It's sort of half matte, half semi-gloss at the moment. I think it's still drying all the way through. Obviously last night being such clear, warm days, it means the nights are really cold, so that might affect the finish a little bit, but to be honest, I don't mind at all. It seems to be drying quite well in the sun now. It's definitely warmed up. In the next few hours it's going to be good. You can definitely rub it now, but you can feel it's still a tiny bit tacky there. The port of call today is to run the chassis loom through the front here, as I've got a new one all the way back through, out the back and the side there. Josh and Bennett say it's a bit of a nightmare. Hopefully there's a sort of technique they've used before. Gonna sort of insert a rod all the way down and then pull the rod, the loom back through with a few bits and pieces at the back there, it can be a bit sort of hard to reach, hard to get to. So I've got some airline to feed through the chassis, and the loom's sitting there ready to go. I'm going to go this way through and try and feed it away all the way up to the front there, and then take the chassis on, take the loom onto the front, and then pull it back through. There's actually a bit here that's a bit difficult. A couple of triangles, isn't there?
Good luck with that, mate. Horrible job.
Yeah, so feeding that through is going to be a bit difficult, especially this part. So we decided to go from the back to the front, and hopefully that will make it a bit easier. But as the boys say, it's a difficult one, so wish me luck.
Yeah, so like that.
Just
So
keep-
basically. So when
you almost wanna-
that bit's in there,
Yeah.
so it goes past any like obstructions because there's a triangle in by the way.
Yeah, I think that's where I am. I think it's about there.
You can when you get really upset, you can look through the hole.
I've already done that.
Oh, you're already upset.
But
Yeah.
I did that there already.
I'm really glad I came in early to do this job, as it takes a long time. It's not one to be underestimated. It's something that's very important, but it's extremely simple, so it's easy to overlook it, and it can take hours and hours and hours. So if you do need to do it yourself, make sure to budget the time in.
One eternity later.
Yes! Lemonade.
Finally, the tedious job is done. I can see that the first clip was filmed at 1:45, and I finally managed to do it at 3:15. So you can see it takes a while.
Yeah, the connect going in from this end to that hole, and then going in from that end. So
Where did you connect then?
I pulled them both out of here,
Fair shout.
taped them, and then pulled it back through, and
Fair
that
shout.
worked. That was I
the one.
was at give up phase, and then that helped.
That-
Well, that took a little bit longer than I expected, even though they did warn me about it. Next stage is this. Wax in the chassis, fill it up, and then hopefully that will give it a bit more coating on the inside, even though there's galv in there. Should just add that extra layer, hopefully.
This is a really simple step, and I think it will help a lot. There's been a few mixed opinions on if you should do it at all, but I think you should, as it adds an extra level of protection on top of the galv, as there will be mud, crud, and water sitting there for the life of the chassis, and all it can do is help for about 20 minutes worth of work. So there you go then. I'm really happy with the final finish. It's protected on the inside and out, and it will be prevented from theft as well. This process actually daunted me more than the swap, only because it was uncharted territory, and you want to do a really good job as well as you can, and you want it to last for a long time. As I said at the beginning of the video, this was just my experience of it. I wanted to share that with you. I'm no professional. I hope it could help, and I am looking forward to getting going on the chassis swap in a few weeks. If you're watching this in a few years' time, then it's already done. Please go and check it out as soon as it's uploaded. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.